Hi there. Welcome to Manchester's Historical Museum in Manchester by the Sea. We're so glad you could spend some time with us as we take a look at some of the treasures in our collection here at the museum. We're going to start off with a little visit to some of the toys and the dolls and the other interesting artifacts that are in our toy collection. I think you'll find it kind of fun. Let's start with this really incredible dollhouse that was built in 1870. A lady in Boston decided to have it built as a special little gift to grandchildren that might come along. And she decorated the house with all this interesting furniture, interesting figures inside. And let's just take a tour of the house itself right now. There are four major rooms in the main part of the house. And upstairs, there's an attic where the servants lived. But let's start with this room. This is called the drawing room. And it's where the hostess of the house would greet guests when they came perhaps for an afternoon tea. And as we look inside, we see her guest has just come in. She's wearing a beautiful purple dress and a hat, and the hostess is coming to greet her. And in that room, we see such things as, actually, there's a little old-fashioned typewriter I see on the piano there, and a fireplace in the back of the room, of course, to keep the room warm because there was no electricity in those days. And hanging from the ceiling is a chandelier to light the room. And on the walls of this room and the two other rooms of the dollhouse are hand-painted copies of famous paintings that the lady who had this house built did herself. And they're all in what look like gold frames. So that's the drawing room. Directly across the way is the bedroom, the master bedroom with a large double bed in it. We see a dresser over here, a marble top dresser where they keep their clothes in probably. A little water pitcher there on the marble tabletop. And a sewing machine of all things. They probably did some repairs of the clothing in that room. Now downstairs, this is a wonderful room. This is the dining room, very formal room. Another fireplace inside. Here we see the hostess of the house talking to her maid, probably discussing the evening's menu. The dining room table with chairs for four. Candles on the sideboard there because, of course, in those days there was no electricity, so all the rooms were lit with candlelight. And then probably the most important room in the house, and certainly the busiest, is the kitchen. And this is a marvelous kitchen. In the back is a large, big stove where they cooked all the meals. This white chest on the side is what they would call an ice chest because there was no electricity, so you didn't have an electric ice box or a refrigerator, but you kept blocks of ice in that to keep your food cold. And on the table in the kitchen are some pies that have been just baked, ready for serving in the guest room or the dining room. And there's even a little cat here on the floor, hoping a few nibbles will fall off and be promptly enjoyed. So this is a great dollhouse. And it was given to the museum many, many years ago by descendants of the original owner with the understanding that any nieces or nephews or granddaughters who wanted to come and play with the dollhouse, they could still come to our museum and do so. And you know what? Every so often, a few of them show up and we're delighted to see them. And we'd be delighted to have you come here as well. So here we are. We've left the dollhouse and we're going to visit some of the other dolls in our collection. As a matter of fact, just the other day, I counted the number of dolls that I could find throughout the Trask house, and there are over 60 of them. That's quite a collection. As you can see, most of them seem to be young ladies, babies, girls. We have two guys we'll talk about in just a minute. But you can again see the variety of kinds of dolls we have, from life-size dolls like this beautiful one here, to tiny little baby dolls, or this even smaller one in her little bed, canopy bed. This gentleman here, this young boy, his name is Ben. He's a German doll. That outfit he has on is, we don't really know what it means. It looks like it might be a military school outfit or something. We do know that he dates back to the time of the Civil War, to the 1860s. So he's a real old and pretty important doll. This is an incredibly detailed one. Look at the beautiful dress she's wearing, and she's got a pin on, and her hat with flowers and decorations and her rosy cheeks. She's a beauty. This is a nice one. It shows how they made the hair would come off. And in many cases, doll's hair was actually human hair that was turned into little wigs for them to wear. Here's another fancy lady with a very exotic hat. Another one with a bonnet, rosy cheeks. Even had a little black girl in her apron. Glad to have her as part of the collection. And Raggedy Andy, not Raggedy Ann. We have Raggedy Andy here. I think many families had him. And don't forget that Manchester, cheerleaders, doll. Go team, she says. Go Hornets. And down below we see 4 dolls in various contraptions. Here's one in a very fine 4-wheeled stroller. She's got a beautiful blue dress on and a red velvet hat. Here's another baby doll in her bed. Her eyes blink. That was a kind of doll called blinky-eyed dolls. There's another nice old doll in a little wicker stroller, iron wheels. It's nice to have the vehicles with them too. And then this lady in her high chair, a beautiful porcelain face, her tinted cheeks. She's a beauty as well. As a change of pace, we're now going to look at some of the other toys in our collection other than our lovely ladies' dolls that we've just enjoyed. Let's start with this. This is a handmade wooden castle. And on the castle ramparts is a regiment of redcoat soldiers. This is actually very special to me because it was made for my dad when he was a little boy growing up in Buffalo, New York. And he passed it along to me, and I've passed it along to the museum for their collection. You know, one thing we're short of in our toy collection are our lead soldiers, toy soldiers. So if any of you have any at home and you want to find a new home for them, we'd be happy to accept them to our collection. Here's some cast iron toys. A cannon, a horse and buggy. Here's a wonderful item. It's a little old-fashioned sewing machine and a little warship that would scoot along the floor, sparks shooting out of the cannons. Pull toys were very popular. Here's one. It's called Tiny Teddy, and here he goes, playing the xylophone, and Mickey Mouse to the rescue in a patrol car. 2 other Mickeys, a big Mickey, a little Mickey, and very popular. Of course, there were little teddy bears. This is a nice example of one. A set of kitchen tools for little girls. Pretend they were cooking in the kitchen. We even have a little rolling pin that goes with it and an egg beater. Over here, nice china tea set, again, for the doll parties. Dolls would have tea parties, and they'd use these little miniature teapots and so forth. Well, you don't forget the noisy boys that used to play the drums at home, drive everybody crazy, I'm sure. What about these? These are kind of nice. You know what they are? These are early ice skates. This is how they'd work. You simply wear your regular shoes. You put your toe in there, and you put a strap around it. You put this over the heel of your shoe, and you'd go out, not very sharp, but I guess you could glide along the pond, Dexter Pond every winter, on your skates. These are very old, and they're kind of valuable. And finally, we've got this wonderful handmade train set. It was made by one of the fine craftsmen at the Dodd Furniture Company here in Manchester as a gift to, I think, to someone who had just had a new son as a first birthday gift. For those of you who don't know it, there were 45 different shops in Manchester in the old days making fine furniture. That's how this town became famous for a while. But getting back to toys, I want you to meet one last person, a very special young lady named Little Red Riding Hood. Remember the story of Little Red Riding Hood? Who does she go to visit? Why, she goes to visit Granny, of course. So we flip her skirt over, and here's Granny. And there's one other character in the story of Little Red Riding Hood, remember? Of course, it's the big bad wolf. So using this one kind of doll, what you call a topsy-turvy doll, you can tell the whole story of Little Red Riding Hood. And that's my story about the toys in the collection of the Manchester Historical Museum. I hope you'll come and see us soon, and thanks for your good attention, and take care of yourself.